ones like these go a little like just they miss them because it's like, well, the Bighorn, the Yellowstone, the Madison, the Missouri, the Big Hole, big rivers that you hear people talk about. We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Clink. Hey, how's it going?
Another day in paradise, man. How are you doing?
Fan diddly-tastic. We're getting into this. We're going to have some fun today because I like playing out on the water. I don't know about you guys, but if you have listened to this episode, any of our episodes, you know how much I like getting out on the water. So to talk about water, it's not the largest ocean in the world, the Pacific, but still pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, today's an interesting one because we're gonna spoiler if you haven't read the title. We're gonna talk about our top 5 favorite rivers, which is actually kind of a tougher one for me because I'm kind of a beach kid. I'm an ocean guy. I'm a big fan of the Pacific. I like doing things at the beach. I've lived near the beach. So like to me, the rivers, they're like puddles. They're just like puddles that are going, There's some of them are cool, but it's not the ocean.
It's more of a me thing because I'm landlocked out here in Montana, and
yeah,
that's what we have. But see, the thing is it's freshwater. It's not salt.
I like that salt, man. You get in, you soak in that salt water. It helps you like heal. Add that with some grounding when you're in there. Like that's why the ocean is just pristine. You get those different minerals. Fun fact about the ocean: there's a ton of gold in the water if you can siphon it out. It's just in very little bit little particles that you can't actually like filter it because there's no filter small enough that can get it. But you can make billions of dollars in gold if you can figure that out. So if you're out there and you know how to do that kind of thing, check it out.
It sounds like something you and I need to figure out to do because billions of dollars, dude. Wandering Ways, the filter company. No, I'm just kidding.
Put it all into Wandering Ways.
Right? Stock.
Yep, exactly.
When we go public, we'll see.
Yeah.
That's with your help. That's with your help, listeners. You just got to keep listening. You got to like, subscribe. And, one thing me and Mark were talking about before the show today was if you guys have like, hey, Zach, Mark, I'm just curious, what are your top 5, lakes? What are your top 5, places to meditate? Shoot them our way. We will let you know. We want to know what our wanderers' top 5s are. Kalman, Everyday Backpacker, shouted us out not too long ago with his top 5. I think that was for Dream List Adventures.
Yeah.
So definitely, guys, send them our way. Wandering Ways Podcast at gmail.com. WandringWayspodcast at gmail.com. Wandering Ways Podcast at gmail.com. We'll respond. Send them our way. So I just want to know, guys. I just want to know.
Yeah, please do. If you have ideas of stuff you want to hear, guests you think we should have, anything like that, comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just make sure you send it over to that Wandering Ways Podcast at gmail.com.
Moans, groans, and complaints too.
Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns. Weather's been getting colder lately, at least for me here. We actually had a little bit of snow up in the hills like the other day, which I was just like, that's a new experience for me. Anyway, so it means that, outdoor activities, you got to bundle up a lot more.
In October too, because we got our little dusting on Tuesday here, and it was one of those ones, it snows at night because it's colder at night, and then in the morning it's just on the grass or on like the roofs, where like it's like the streets and whatnot were all wet, and the snow that was falling was melting. But it's that October snowstorm, Mark. Welcome to the high life, I guess. Altitude.
Yeah, it didn't hit the town itself. It was up in the hills, and you can see the line where it like very vividly. So I didn't get like affected by it, other than I had to start scraping ice off of my car. I have to wear like pants and a jacket. So actually, I felt very much like you over in Montana, because like literally 2 days before it was like 70, 80 degrees. And then we had like a little bit of rain, and then it was snow.
That's exactly. I mean, I like these fall storms. They're nice. I'm sad to put the flip-flops away for the year because they ain't coming back out till May over here. Or if we go somewhere, we'll go somewhere tropical in the winter. We'll see, right?
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice. Get out. Although, winter adventures are just as fun. But with it, I haven't been able to do a whole lot outdoors because of my work schedule, and that it's starting to get a little bit colder. I mean, I don't know. Have you done anything exciting? It's probably more hunting, fishing for you right now, eh?
Yeah, that subsistiary way of living. No, I struggle with that word so hard. It's
Yeah,
subsistiary. Yeah,
sustenance.
sustenance way of living, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hunting for there's a lot of archery going on right now. I don't that involves too much time, I think, for what I'm one of those Native Americans that in and out, punch in, punch out, get the deer, call it good, we're good for the year. Some of these guys like to make the guy, the guys, the bow hunters, they're going to put in the hours, which I commend. That's a crazy thing. My uncle actually is a big bow hunter, puts in a lot of hours, takes a lot of time out of your day, but it's fun. You see, that's how they get those big bull elk, because they're in rut during this time of year. That's when they're bugling and mating and herding up with all the females. So they're easier to they're kind of acting goofier, essentially, is what's going on. And
Yeah, I'm a fan of bow over rifle. I mean, that's what I did growing up, was bow hunt.
Yeah, it's a white man sport. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it turned into a white man sport.
Yeah, it definitely did, for sure. I don't know. There's just something to me, like I more enjoy the sneak of it, and like being able to, like, if you've ever called in a herd of elk, it's a pretty cool experience. So I guess that's more so why. I mean, you could still call in a herd with a rifle, but it's just more common practice with bow.
Yeah, no, and you typically out here rifle season, they're not the elk aren't in rut, so they're not going to come to. Why are they going to come to a cow call? Yeah. They're not fighting the other bulls. The testosterone is down.
Yeah,
which I get. I mean, I like it. I'm just efficient. I'm going to take my one day, shoot it with a gun, call it good. But I agree. I do think archery hunting, that you're stalking the animal. I think you're giving the animal more of a fair chance. Which I think is fair, especially in this day and age, where we really have, like, you go to some of those places where people hunt, like in the Midwest, down south, where it's like, yeah, that's just like, there's towns all around that mountain. So only up on that mountain is all the animals. Of course, you're going to go hunting up there. Of course, you'll get something, because they're boxed in. Out here it's a little more wild, but still, as we grow and society grows and we put fences up and we do these things, it really changes the patterns of these animals and creatures. So it's an interesting thing, and I think it's sad to see that stalking. I think that's how wolf hunting should be. I think it should be, if you're going to open game on wolf hunting, only archery. Fucking two alpha predators at the top of their game going at it. Sure.
That would be interesting to see how that would turn out in the long run. Would be. Actually, you know what I saw, speaking of wolves? Actually, I'm pretty sure we put it on our Facebook as one of the articles about them seeing wild wolves being born in Colorado for the first time in forever.
Yes, which is awesome to see, because it's like, people don't realize the wolves they would go all the way to the East Coast. That was their natural range. There was a Mexican wolf. There was an East Coast wolf. There was a West Coast wolf. There was the gray wolf. There was the Alaskan wolf, all these different wolves, right? And when they brought them to Idaho, to the Idaho, Montana, Wyoming for the Yellowstone Park, they brought the Alaskan wolves, which, yeah, they were more aggressive, but they didn't take the large ones from the tundra. They took the ones down South Alaska that were similar as they could get to what was already down here. And then they let them breed and grow. And you know how I feel about wolves if you listen to our wolf debate, but I think, we look at it, we got to look to the experts who are studying what is needed for these ecosystems. We have destroyed a lot of our resources. Take the redwoods, for example. 97% of the original redwoods are gone. And there's still a lot. That 3% is still a lot. So when you think about like how much we've really taken away and you look at these areas, like we're still exploiting the land here in Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, with the oil and everything there, the coal, all that, right? Because it's unused land. It's take it, use it. And we need that for the different things, but there's all these consequences to our actions, and not necessarily those are always thought of. So
yeah, it's like fracking. Have you ever looked into like the impact fracking has? Like,
doesn't it create a lot of sinkholes, right?
Yeah, it does that. It ruins the water supply in the area. Like fracking is like arguably like one of the worst things we can do. There's a documentary, it's on climate change. I mean, it's the classic, like, we need to do something or else the world's going to go away type deal. But it's Leonardo DiCaprio is the like main narrator and person. He goes through this. It's called Before the Flood, which the flood has to do with like a whole biblical story and all that. But there's one shot I always think of when I think of fracking, and it's from that documentary, and it's straight up. They're in a helicopter like above it, and it looks like they're flying over like Mordor from Lord of the Rings. And that one I'm always like, and like, we don't need that.
No, and it's interesting to see, because then you get the argument about like the electric cars, right? The batteries and like the mining that it takes to get those, and the arguments, and really it's just the industry leaders arguing back and forth if we really break it down. But it's interesting how all this stuff is. But like I say, you have to always default to the experts, the people who are studying the impact of the wolves, the people who are, studying, hey, this, we saw that the bees came back. We saw that this happened, with everything, with fracking.
I full-heartedly agree with the statement. You have to rely on the experts, but be cautious of the expert. You want to, not only do you want to find an expert, but you want to see where they've been and see if they have any affiliation with anybody, because sometimes experts will sell their soul to make a quick dollar, because a lot of these scientists unfortunately don't get paid a whole lot. So they may be behind on some bills, maybe in some debt, or maybe just having a rough time currently, health, and they just need a quick dollar. And it's easy for them to go out there and say, hey, wolves are pointless in this world and we need to get rid of them. And boom, all of a sudden people like, Mr. Expert says.
Exactly. You definitely need to fact check and see where the money's coming from too. And I love when we're like, oh, fuck the government, right? Always. Yeah. But look at how, yes, the government, and I think fuck the government comes from how slow they move, but because of the processes we've put into place where it's an elected official, it's an everyday person who's really working the 9 to 5, they're just putting in their time so that they get their pension, whatever, right? And it's those are people that are the ones really that you got to listen to and watch, because they are the like experts in that sense, because they're the ones following the book. And you got to look at how the research, the funding of the research, how many of our textbooks in high school and middle school and graduation school did petroleum companies sponsor? And why?
Yeah.
Why? We get mad at Hitler for controlling the education system in Germany before his rise to power. And you look at where our money is being spent. You look at the large, when you see these COVID bills go through, right? Yeah, you're getting your $1,000 check, but that's only $300 million of this $4 trillion plan, right? That's just a small piece of the pie. Go look at who's getting the big pieces and why are they getting the big pieces and when are they getting the big pieces and what are the results of those? And that's just with any industry. Take it to the wolves, take it to the parks, and what I like about our parks is they're funded pretty good and the people who like working in them like it for what it is and they're fun and they want to keep them there for everyone to have. So
100%.
I don't know. For me, it's the joy when I go into a park. Like I love taking people to parks for the first time because it's that joy. And I think there's a lot of rangers and workers in our department of interior that really do care about our parks.
100%. And, it doesn't just extend to the parks. It extends to these wonderful things that we call rivers.
Oh, shit. Brought it back. Wandered our way left, wandered our way right, wandered our way up and down, and he brought it back.
Yeah. I do that time to time. But, it's rivers. And so we are going to go into our top 5 favorite rivers that we have experienced. Again, there are, as you probably all know, there are a lot of rivers, from big ones to small ones. Some people will argue are more of a creek. Other will argue that they're a river, or a stream. That's the other one people will say too. But regardless of it is, we're doing rivers, ones that we have, that we enjoy for various reasons. I'm willing to bet Zach has way different reasons for liking some rivers than my reasons for liking the rivers that I like. That being said, we're going to start off with the number 5. Zach, do you want to open it up?
I got you. I gotta ask a quick question. Is it Crick or Crick?
I think it actually just depends on how you're using it.
Oh, yeah,
maybe when it's a broad term, it's a crick, but when it's like the name, it's something creek.
Or is it just a spring? Oh ho ho! Whoa!
A lot of different names.
Who knows? But my number 5 is no doubt a river. It is one of the largest rivers in the PNW. It is the mighty Columbia River. What I like about this is the magnitude of it, the sheer size, the amount of water. And to think that they've dammed it up in places along this river, where would it be at if you didn't have all these dams on it? And the cities that suck water off of it. There's a lot of big cities that suck water, Portland being one of them, off this river. They have big ships. It was used in World War II. Kaiser, there's a big Kaiser Permanente over there on the West Coast, but Kaiser built his shipyards there in Portland for World War II battleships and that use that river for those. You can go fish on it. Lewis and Clark traveled on it. And then when you drive 84 on it, you're winding the whole gorge. And there's something magical, especially when you drop down into it. And then you go see like the Multnomah Falls and all these waterfalls coming off onto the sides. And you can get up on top and see down below and see how far. And it's just a really unique one. And then it opens up into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. That river actually will make a return, as it is on my list. I'm going to tell you when it pops up on my list, but what I will tell you is it is not number 5.
I can imagine that, especially knowing you're from Oregon, right? That's one of your rivers. Like people are probably thinking Zach's got a Montana river lined up on there. Got it. Home state pride.
No, it's very true. But I will make a return on why I like that river later in this top 5. But going with my number 5, I am going to go with an Oregon river but I'm going to go a little bit. It's a smaller river. It has a scenic drive to it. It's got a highway named after it. We've been on it looking for things. I've been on it in a whitewater raft, and it is the Mckenzie River just outside of good old Eugene, Oregon. And if you haven't been down to that area, the Mckenzie River Highway goes Eugene to like Bend, Sisters, and Central Oregon there. It is gorgeous drive. There's hot springs along the ways. The Blue Pool is along the way. There are a lot of adventures on this river that you can do. Like I said, you can even go whitewater rafting on this river. I've done it, I think, twice, whitewater. And it's not like as crazy of a river for whitewater. So if you're a beginner, it's kind of like a pretty decent one for beginners along it. There's some great waterfalls. Actually, there's some superb waterfalls on this river. So, I mean, it's a great one. The Blue Pool to the waterfalls, to the location of it, the hot springs along the way. There's just a lot to offer with this river. It's a good checkout if you haven't been down in that area, or if you're looking for somewhere to go, that area, Mckenzie River.
Yeah, no, what I like is in the springtime too, the blue of the water that you can get. Just some gorgeous colors. With the green foggy backdrop that Oregon can provide sometimes, and I think the Mckenzie River is also a big fly fishing river, and good fishing. So if you're into that,
yeah, there's a lot you can do on that river. Number 4 for you.
So I'm going to go down south in Colorado. There's a river called the Conejos River. It's just a couple miles north of the Colorado-New Mexico border from a town called Chama, New Mexico. And growing up as a kid, we had a cabin down there, which, like, looking back, it's a blessing, because you're like, this is some beautiful, beautiful country. And you sometimes listen to Matt Buddy talk about northern New Mexico. I'm like, this is a place I want to take him, because it's just one of those cool mountain towns. You kind of go over the pass. There's a pass there, and you drop down, and there's that river, the Conejos River, up there in Colorado. And we would fish it all the time. We'd go get the Colorado 3-day pass to go fishing, and we'd fish over there. We would drive it, because it would go up to like all these little lakes that we had along the way, Pilardo Reservoir and whatnot. And they're just beautiful. Southern Colorado, the aspen trees in the fall, the herds of elk. We'd go snowmobiling back up in that area. So in the winter, it would be a creek, and the way the snow, I mean, down there you also have like Red River, New Mexico, which is a cool area for that as well. But just picturesque, nobody around place. I think this was the river we were fishing on. We had a beagle. She got bit by a rattlesnake right in the mouth. And what was shitty was she was getting into our garage and eating the rat poison we had. So it was thinning her blood. So she actually ended up bleeding out. And her last day, we took her to the river, because we're like, we're in the middle of nowhere, and there's no doctors, no veterinarian that could save her. So it really sucked. But yeah, that was kind of, I was like, well, let's just take her here somewhere peaceful and just hang out with her. And she kind of died, and sad, but it was a beautiful river.
That'd be a good place to go. I have that kind of memory.
Yeah.
For me, I am leaving the state of Oregon for this one. It's a river, actually, to tell you in complete honesty, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. But the one, maybe 2 times that I have spent on it, it was unique, and I have good memories of it. It's actually the Blackfoot River.
Oh, that's on my list too there, cowboy.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I enjoyed the Blackfoot was the whitewater rafting. Even though I had got screwed that day, the way where if I haven't told the story, I'm going to retell it. But it was when Vince, Phil, and I did our big trip. We were going to 4th of July up in Sealy Lake, Montana, which is close to where the Blackfoot River is. And Zach was like, oh, we're going to do a big thing. We're going to go whitewater rafting. Mark, you have guided before, right? I said, yeah, I have. I've guided on a river that I'm going to talk about later. And I've done a bunch of other whitewater rafting kind of stuff on a lot of the rivers that I'm going to talk about. But when I heard guide, I heard me, back the boat, everyone's got paddles. I'm saying like, all right, everyone forward 3, everyone like left 1, 2, and then you go back right type deal.
Which we should have done. And this last year when we did it, we did do because of this.
I got stuck with a damn rowboat, just me and 2 paddles, one side on the other side. And I did all the work.
Yeah, well, so those frames, so it was our raft. We have, a nice raft. You fit 8 people on it decently. And what was shitty for you was those frames that you put them in there for fishing. So someone could sit up, fish, and control. It's more easier for that, right? So when you're more drifting down the river. But when you're getting in those rapids, you really have to be controlled. And I think those are the rafts people end up flipping on rivers because of how it's harder. But then you also, the oars, you have to make sure you have good crew. But that's a fun river. And I'll talk about it here coming up. But yeah, I mean, you also...
that's the trip I think of. It was a blast of a trip. But man, I just remember hitting a couple of those thinking my biceps are going to tear. And like, I'm just fighting it on like a left, trying to like keep this thing straight. And I remember towards the end, like I wasn't even trying to get us to go down straight on. I was just like, let's just get through this. We have to spin cycle through a rapid. We're spin cycling through a rapid.
Well, and what I like about that too, people don't realize is me, Thea, Vince, and Phil were all sitting up in front.
Yeah.
Like no one sat behind you. I think it would have been better if 1 or 2 people would have sat back there.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was just like, my arms were shot at the end because I was just like either pushing, I was pulling, or just trying to keep it steady.
Yeah. Well, we got paddles. We're going to, if you come back out, we're going to do it the other way.
Oh, so. Good. That's what I need. I need a team effort there.
Right. No. That's a good river to have. It's a fun one.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on it a whole lot. I want to get more, but that one experience, it was a good river to be on. And I mean, that's why it hits number 4. I like whitewater rafting, so it's easy to get on this list if you're a good whitewater rafting river.
Yeah, and Joe worked there. We interviewed him, and that was a river he guided on. And actually, if you put in kind of where we pulled out at, it's actually a little bit. There's more rapids, so the more towards Missoula you go on that river, the more whitewater you get. So we actually did more of a stretch, like a flatter stretch, which is good for what we were doing with those people that day, because there was a lot of people. We had 2 rafts. Yeah,
no, the stretch we did was good. There wasn't like any too sketchy of
no,
it's too sketchy of rapids. So that for what we had crew wise, that was good. But number 3 for you,
the Colorado River. And for this one, I've had some experience with it because I've gone down to the Grand Canyon a couple times in my life. I've been blessed to do that. As well as Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef and just kind of the whole Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, that desert, and how this river has helped form that area. Horseshoe Bend, just immaculate views. The Grand Canyon itself, that river carved that. And that's another one that has dams on it. And how high is it if that's not dammed, on that Grand Canyon? How how different does it change the landscape? And that's something I'm curious about, because I like these rivers, but we don't think about the dams that stop the water, so like it changes the landscape downstream. but also the way they flood and the fact that there's all these cities that are leaching that. Like, where do you think the water that's in your soda comes from? Like, where they're getting that fresh water from? Some type of water source, meaning our rivers, our lakes, our streams, right? That's why we have reservoirs. And it's just interesting. And that one to me, just because what it is created, Horseshoe Bend, I don't think is as cool as it is if that dam isn't there in Page, Arizona. I think it eats away more so quicker, changes it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things you don't know though, unless it's not there.
Tear them down.
That's a great river. I mean, I debated putting that one kind of in my list. I didn't go so much the scenic ones today. I did more of the ones that are probably more just sentimental to me. But when you're talking scenic and cool shit, Colorado River's up there. I mean, Horseshoe Bend, Grand Canyon, almost everything of Utah is at southern Utah. A lot of it has to do with that Colorado River. So
Lake Powell.
Yeah, Lake Powell. I mean, there is just a lot of cool stuff when you're talking about that Colorado River. So
I think it goes all the way to Rocky Mountain National Park. I think that's the headwater essentially for
I don't know where the headwaters is. All I know is that river is involved in a lot. It has got a lot, and it's definitely worth a visit if anyone has not been there. And there's a lot of places to check out that river.
Yeah, there really is, and it's a cool one. It's a pretty one.
Yeah. Number 3 for me. This is really just because I've done a lot of whitewater on it. And there's a theme with my list. It's all whitewater, or at least most of it. There's one river I have not whitewatered, and it's because you can't whitewater. But the Santiam.
Oh, that's a good one.
Santiam River is a good one. I have been fortunate enough to whitewater that one a bunch of times. I probably one of the worst planning mistakes I have ever done involved the Santiam and whitewater. It was when we were in the fraternity, or I was in the fraternity. I don't think you were in at this point. But it was my job to organize the summer rafting trip, and I did not get rafts. So what I convinced our treasurer to do is we went to Big Five, and we got these yellow rafts that you can just little tiny rafts to go and do this river on. On the box for these rafts, it says "Do not take in white water." So we had about 9 of these at the start. We ended with about 7 or 6 or 7 of them. You can fit 2. 3 was a real stretch of people. It was a trek. It was a huge planning mistake, screw up on my part. But I've done some other rafting on it. I've guided that one in the tiny raft and in a bigger raft 3 times. It's got a good stretch of different kind of rafts. Again, runs a pretty part of Oregon. It's a little bit farther north from the Mckinsey. There's a lot to do. Detroit Lakes up in that area along the Santiam. It's a good river to check out if you haven't. And whitewater, you can do it in little floaty tubes that aren't really considered whole whitewater rafts. So check it out. Playing a little better than I did, but it's worth one to check out.
Yeah, that is another good fishing river. Oregon has some good fishing rivers for trout and steelhead for sure. A lot of fly fishers.
Indeed. Thank you, Wanderers, for checking us out. Make sure that you are hitting that like button, that subscribe button, leaving us a review on the iTunes, on the Spotify's, or wherever that you are checking out this podcast today. We really appreciate it. Any kind of feedback, we love it. Make sure to check out the YouTube so you can see our beautiful faces instead of just listening to those beautiful voices. But hit the like and subscribe button there, too, to see all of the fun Wandering Ways stuff.
Yeah, on the YouTube too. Make sure to check out those videos like Mark's amazing 30-day road trip where he lived out of the back of a Jeep. And if you want to commemorate it, go ahead and pick yourself up that Wandering Ways swag in the link tree bio, click the swag button. If you're just on YouTube or Google or some sort of thing, go teespring.com/wanderingways. You'll find us. You'll find socks. You'll find shirts. You'll find whatever you want to put our logo on, and you can have it for sure.
And maybe you only like one of the Wandering Ways team members here, and you want to check out maybe just me personally, because obviously I might be the better one. Check me out, Reverend Marcus, on the Instagram, on the Twitter. I got some fun stuff there.
Hey, and you might be into Jeeps. You could check out my Jeep, the Rougarou. You might be into adventures. Check out Zach of Wandering Ways. Who knows? You can find it all with us at Wandering Ways, the nature podcast.
Yeah, let's keep wandering on. Before we hop into our last two, it's time for some cool shit in nature. Cool shit in nature. I got two things for you today, Zach. The first one, I want to make sure. I got it all lined up. First one is a picture. It's a cool picture. I just think it's a cool picture. Because it's a grizzly bear and some steam that's coming off of like a geyser or some sort of thermal. So it's a very cool picture.
That is a neat picture because it's just a cool grizzly bear with some steam around it.
Yeah, it you know, it's one. This is one that you would have on your wall. That's the quality of this picture. You know, you can't really see his legs because there's enough steam, so it's just a grizzly kind of walking through that steam, which is super, super cool. This next one is kind of a hilarious one. So if you're watching the video, you can probably just read what the video title is. But a lot of questions get, as there's two guys on an iceberg and there's a boat backing away. And my head starts going, why are they just leaving these two guys on the iceberg? Like, I feel like bad things could happen in this moment.
Yeah, especially when it says iceberg flipping over and these two guys are standing on like, oh, yeah, like they just fall in the water. Like, what do you think's happening? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I know.
Now they're like,
you see everyone's like in oh shit mode.
Yeah, like it just looked like, how cold do you think that water is? There's ice floating in it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like
I don't know why they left them on an island or an iceberg like that, with that water being so gosh darn cold. Like there's a lot going on in this where I'm like, what is the boat crew thinking? One, why are they on the iceberg to begin with? But and for people that are just listening, this is not a small iceberg.
No, like they're trying to climb it to get to the top, it looks like. And I think the perception here is like the iceberg is bigger on bottom usually.
Yeah.
Like, so you could climb them, but just poor planning on their part, I feel like.
100%.
Don't poorly plan. Don't do a mark and bring rafts or non-rafts to a raft trip.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, first off, if you were one of those two climbers there on the iceberg, especially the guy that's a little farther away, I mean, he almost gets crushed by the iceberg.
Yeah, but like my question to that too is, do you have water suits on? What are you wearing?
Oh yeah. I mean, you hope they have like some survival suit kind of on.
I think you got 30 seconds, a minute, and you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, that is some cold ass water. I don't even know if Wim Hof, the Iceman himself, would do okay in that.
Well, especially because like it doesn't look like they're wearing, like, looks like you're wearing clothes, but you look like you're wearing like clothes to stay warm on land, not warm in the water. So if
100%.
you fall in, like, and the people scramble.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in that video, but I thought it would be a good one to share.
Oh, yes, indeed.
But anyways, hopping back into our top 5 rivers. We're into the final two, the top two. Let's go number 2 for my guy Zach.
Bringing back the Blackfoot. That's the one. What I like about this river too, and we talk about it with Joe, is there's just so many good rivers in Montana that ones like these go a little like just they miss them because it's like, well, the Bighorn, the Yellowstone, the Madison, the Missouri, the Big Hole, big rivers that you hear people talk about because they're cool. But the Blackfoot's just, it's up there. There's not a lot of people on it. You know, when you're rafting, yeah, you'll run into other rafters and people on it, but not as much as you would some of these other rivers. And that's one thing I like. I think what I also like about it too is there's different aspects of this river. There's the like calm parts. There's the more canyon-esque parts, like when it goes into the Clark's Fork there in Missoula. The more rapids you could hit, like we were talking about earlier, you can go further down and hit more rapids, or you can go further up. And I don't know, just the area you're at in those Montana valleys that this river goes through, you know, where it's like you're in this valley and there's just mountains around you and you're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, Blackfoot's a nice river. I mean, that's why I made my top 5.
Yeah.
So I feel you on that one. My number 2 is a callback as well. It's the Columbia River. I'm bringing the Columbia River's number 2 on my list, and it's because that's my hometown river. You know, I grew up 15 minutes from it. You know, I could ride my bike out to the jetty and see the mouth of the Columbia into the Pacific. You know, they have a race where you cross the bridge from Washington to Oregon on it that I've done. It's like a little 6-mile race. They call it the Great Columbia Crossing. I've heard people see great white sharks in that river. I've seen a whale in that river. You know, it's an incredible. I've done a ton of fishing on that river. You know, there's a lot. It's a huge river. And there, I mean, it's got the history part of it. Lewis and Clark to World War II. It's a big piece of it. And then, I mean, I haven't even gotten to the gorge. I've been just staying to where I live 15 minutes away from my parents' house. And that it's just got a lot that you can, whether you're driving just from like Astoria there to like a Sweet Home, or not a Sweet Home, a St. Helens or Scappoose, Oregon. You can drive along that river a little bit farther west of it than like the gorge, but the Columbia is it's a fantastic river. You really can't go wrong with. There's a lot to do, from boating to fishing to bird watching to seeing a whale. So
yeah, there's 2 things about this river I want to say. Is if you're in the Portland area and you want to go down to a really cool spot on this river where you do kind of feel like it is just you out there, go up to Ridgefield, Washington, and there's some good parks. There's a Native American longhouse they actually built up there, in which you go down and you're down on the river. It's really pretty. Me and Matt did it. It was really rainy, so there wasn't a lot of people when we went. But the other thing is, I want to go see this river in British Columbia.
Oh, way up there.
We haven't even talked about that because we haven't experienced that. Yeah. But like, could you imagine?
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. But yeah, Columbia, that's my number 2. Moving on to Zach's number 1, top 1 river. Ladies and gentlemen, it is
the Yellowstone.
The Yellowstone.
I don't think that was a shocker though. I don't think I just shocked anybody, because like that's my hometown river. You know, it's a minute away. I go down to Duck Creek like 2 to 3 times a week just because like I'm tired of sitting in my house. I'm like, put me by some water. You know, I'll take my computer down there and hotspot myself so I could work from there because it's just peaceful. I've spent many hours on this river. I've fished this river. I've rafted this river. I've done photo shoots on this river. I've gone into Yellowstone Park and seen this river. I've seen this river from front to end. you know. It's beautiful the way it comes out of Yellowstone Lake. And that to me, when you see that river, the way it comes out of Yellowstone Lake and it comes right to the shoreline, right to the grass, right to the top of the grass, essentially, it's just like level. And to me, that's where our rivers should be at. Like when you go see the Yellowstone River here in Billings, you're like, it should be that tall. But like I say, that's where we're sucking the water away. We don't think about that. You know, we talk about the 100-year water plane and breaking that, but it's like, yeah, we've created that because we're sucking water away. So we need to keep water at certain levels, and so it lasts for hundreds of years. But it's you get the natural-esque part of this river in the park. You have Yellowstone Falls. You have the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. You have the way this river spits out into Paradise Valley, you know, in Gardner there, Hell's Roaring Canyon. And it pops out and you can whitewater raft it there, which I've done, which is awesome. But then you can even go a little further, and that's Paradise Valley. That's some of the best trout fishing in the world comes out of there. And people love it. And they call it Paradise Valley for a reason. And then it gets and goes up with I-90 through Livingston there and right down to Billings here. And what I like about this aspect of the river is this is where that river in these 90 miles or so is really changing from a mountain river to a plains river. So you're getting that, you're in the foothills there of the Rockies. And right kind of Park City, Billings area, it spits out, the rims open up, and this river really slows down and becomes a plains river, and it moves slow as it moves into the Missouri River. And you can argue by how the Yellowstone falls into the Missouri that it becomes the Missouri River is technically the Yellowstone River at that point. Like the Missouri River falls into the Yellowstone. And then the Yellowstone actually, or so the Missouri, right? Actually, the Mississippi flows into the Missouri, and the Missouri River goes out to New Orleans, but they've just called that the Mississippi River. If you look at the way the water and the headwaters when they come to meet, how they, yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool river. And it's undammed. It's the largest undammed river in the lower 48. The Yukon, I think, up in Alaska is the largest. But it's there's diversion dams, so where they are sucking water off this thing, but they haven't actually thrown up a dam, and you know, like Fort Peck Dam or you know the Dalles and all that kind of stuff you got on the Columbia. But
yeah,
it's a cool river. I've spent a lot of hours on it, a lot of beautiful, because you can get those mountain pictures of the Yellowstone. Then I can go out to Miles Shitty, as I call it, and go take pictures of it out on the plains. And it's a beautiful plains river. So
I feel you. No, it's a good river. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times. I've been on it, whitewater rafting. But it's a good river.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all my rivers, even this one that it makes my number one, I've whitewatered. I haven't guided this one, but I've probably done the most whitewater on this river. And my number one is the Deschutes River.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the Deschutes River is a fantastic one. There is stuff to do on this river all along it, whether you just want to swim, whether you want to fly fish, whether you want to whitewater raft, whether you want to just float it. You can find a spot to do that. And it runs, and so it goes through some beautiful parts of Oregon, right there through Central Oregon there, Bend, Redmond, Maupin is a huge place for whitewater rafting. It's pretty much the only thing to do in Maupin, Oregon. But Bend, you know, you're close to Bachelor, all that fun stuff. I have floated this river tons and tons of times where we just get an inner tube and we do like mini whitewater rafting. It's just like basically some rocks, and you know, you go through, weave your way through rocks, and you may hit like a kind of a whitewater-esque, but it's not nearly like the traditional whitewater. My little rafts I had on the Sandy M would have been perfect for the stretches we floated. But you know, it's great. I fly fished it before, like the 4 times I've ever fly fished. I've swam in it a ton of times. It's a beautiful area. right there in the middle of Central Oregon. Great views. I've hiked along it. I've pretty much done as much as you can on that river. So it's a doozy of a river. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I like what you say, because the Clark's Fork is like that in Missoula, the float inner tube, where it's like, yeah, like you're going to experience the white water, but go down it. And to me, there's so many great rivers. We just covered 5 of our top, and that's the Deschutes right there in Bend. Oh, that's a pretty river. It's a good one to have at the top of your list. And I think of like all the other ones, because I'm like, I even did kind of what you were talking about. I rented a canoe on the Little Miami River in Ohio when I lived in Cincinnati, and it's right there in Cincinnati. And there's places where you can rent a canoe or boat or kayak. They'll put you on a bus. They drive that bus to the spot, and you get off. They drop the boat you rented, and they float it down, and you drop it off essentially where you rented it. And there's so many cool places like this, and like you said, Maupin and how it's known for whitewater rafting. Yeah, out in the Utah desert, Escalante, I think the town of Escalante is just known for like, this kind of just the stop where you can do all that or rent that gear.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of places on a lot of rivers. And again, we only talked about our top 5 and why we enjoy these rivers. But anyways, we're at the end. We've done our top 5, which means it is that time, and I'm going to be that guy. Time for the final words. So final words, my man, Zach.
Hey, if you guys listen this long, thank you. Really appreciate it. Shout out to you guys, the true wanderers. And yeah, we want to hear your top 5 rivers. I do, at least. So shoot them my way. And why? Like, what do you like it for fishing? Do you like it for the whitewater rafting? Because apparently that's what Mark likes his rivers for. Or do you like it for just the sights, the scenery? Or do you like it for, it's the Hudson River? That's a cool river there in New York. The travel, the what it can bring to the table. What is your reasoning? And I think that's what's really cool and unique when you talk about places like this, that Mark's reasoning for these rivers was more raft oriented, where mine turned out to be more scenic. And you can have reasons for liking places differently than one another, but still have that common love for these places. And I think that's going forward something to appreciate and look forward to. And I am excited to hear if you guys would like to share. And I want to ask you to keep wandering on. So that's it for now.
Love it. I love it. Reverend's final words of wisdom. Just thank you, everybody. Stay beautiful. You guys are amazing. I say it every time, but I can't thank you enough. It really is a pleasure. If you've listened this far, thank you. Hit the like, subscribe, all that, leave a review. It helps out the podcast. So we would appreciate everything, every little bit you guys do. If you're looking for more from the Reverend, make sure to check out theunathletictrainer.com about all stuff, sports medicine, physical fitness, all that kind of fun jazz. It's been going for a while and it's been fun. It's just me kind of throwing out blog stuff. So it's not too exciting, but it is entertaining. That being said, everybody, thank you again, and peace out, everybody.
Bye.